Well, good evening and welcome back to Wednesday Night Live. It is 19th of March, 2014. We're glad you came back. We hope you'll stick around for a whole hour. Welcome from Pocatello, Idaho, in the beautiful Portneuf Valley in southeastern Idaho, the gateway to the great Northwest. And if you don't know what that means, come visit us sometime in Pocatello. Take a look at the beautiful surrounds here. Come play some golf, have some fun. Come see some of our attractions. The Museum of Clean. You've never heard of that. I had some friends visiting recently from Nevada, dear friends, haven't seen them for many, many years. And I took them to the Museum of Clean. And be quite honest with you, I wasn't sure how they would accept it because they're from the big city. They loved it. They thought it was great. So if you're not from Pocatello and you don't know about the Museum of Clean, it is unique. It's one of a kind. Don Aslett has done an outstanding job of making a true museum out of cleaning. And I'll kind of leave that at that. Now, Idaho has one area code, 208. So I'm going to, as I always do, ask you to get a pencil and paper, be ready to take some notes. Some of you will be taking notes other than for the reasons I would hope, but take some notes. I've got some things to suggest that you may want to read, purchase, or look into. But as I do every time at this week, I want to remind you about Compassion and Hope Pregnancy Center. These folks, as I always say, are doing God's work. They are the antithesis of Planned Parenthood, and they need your help. They're a very small shoestring, almost a mom and pop organization, if you will. Not to say they aren't sophisticated, they are, but they're very small. One paid staff, several volunteers, but they are about helping mothers who may have been thinking about well, it's not an alternative, but may have been thinking about aborting their baby, maybe unwed mothers that are having problems. These folks are all about life, and they need your help. They are at 478-HOPE. Easy to remember. Even I can remember it without my cheat sheet. 208-478-HOPE. They could use your help, cash, donations, whatever you have. Please contact them, see what you can do to help them, and you might just be part of saving a life, a precious baby's life, as well as perhaps a mother, maybe even a young father. You never know what kind of help they're going to need. Compassion and Hope. 478-HOPE. I've got a number of things to talk to you about tonight. But you know what I thought? I thought I would try to start out on a light note. Every week, we're just getting pounded with dark, deep, unhappy, however you want to say it, stuff that it doesn't stop. It's local, it's state, it's national, it's even international, and the hits just keep coming, as they used to say on rock and roll TV or on radio. Hits just keep coming, folks. Except these hits aren't always a lot of fun. So I thought instead of starting off on a down note, we'd try to start off on upbeat. And well, you might say that what you're going to see is unintended consequences. I'm not really sure how to note it. Josh, are we good with that disc? All right, you won't have to take any notes. I just hope you get a giggle out of this and have some fun. Let's go with that disc.
Hit the ball, huh? Yep.
Gonna go out and play some golf, yeah, I'm gonna go out and play some golf. My golf bag's full of the latest stuff. I'm gonna go out and play some golf. My putter alone was $1,000. I'm gonna go out and suck it golf. Think I better take a mulligan, yeah, think I better take a mulligan. I put my ball in the pond again. I think I better take a mulligan. I tee it up and take a swing and then splash. Can I get another mulligan? Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up and get down, get down. Hurry, 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 slow down, slow down. Don't hit the tree, please hit the tree. There must be something wrong with my car. All my friends here that bother me, yeah, all my friends here that bother me. I just hope I clear the ladies' tee. Everybody hits it, bother me. Just 8 more strokes and to reach a par 3. That kid just hit it, farther than me. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up and get down, get down. Hurry, 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 hurry. Slow down, ball, slow down, down, down. Don't hit the tree, please hit the tree. I took the day off for this. Never be as good as Tiger Woods. No, no, never be as good as Tiger Woods. My ball's always going off into the woods. Never be as good as Tiger Woods. I'm hooking my irons and I'm pulling my woods. What? Never be as good as Tiger Woods. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up and get down, get down. Hurry, 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 hurry. Slow down, slow down. Don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree. Hit the tree, hit the tree. There must be something wrong with my clothes. All my friends here that bother me, yeah, all my friends here that bother me. I just hope I clear the ladies' tee. Everybody hits it, bother me. Just 8 more strokes and I reach a par 3. That kid just hit it, farther than me. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up and get down, get down. Hurry, 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 hurry. Slow down, ball, slow down, down, down. Don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree. Please hit the tree. I took the day off for this. Never be as good as Tiger Woods. No, no, never be as good as Tiger Woods. My ball's always going off into the woods. Never be as good as Tiger Woods. I'm hooking my irons and I'm pulling my woods. What? Never be as good as Tiger Woods. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up and get down, get down. Hurry, 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 hurry. Slow down, slow down. Don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree. Hit the tree, hit the tree. I really hate this stupid game.
Why do we always laugh at somebody else's misfortune? I just love that tape. I'm not even a golfer, but I sent that to several golfer buddies of mine. I'm sure that they're right now reassessing their need to golf. One thing I did learn about that, I may not have a good backswing, but I will never get into a golf cart. That could be injurious or hazardous to your health. I love the one guy that tried to jump over and got hung up on his own pants. That was funny. Well, I hope you got kind of a kick out of that. I just had to show it to you, especially since we're going to be getting into stuff that's deeper and not so much fun, and some other things that we're going to talk about, which we do. You know, we talk about current events, most of them here national, or here local, but many of them that have national credibility or credence, whatever. You know, they're happening on a larger scale. Now, one thing I want to tell you about, and I just where to begin? Well, I've spoken to you before about Common Core. Now, more and more people are learning about Common Core, the newest federal scheme for your children, their education, or their dumbing down would be much more appropriate. There is a pamphlet that you can get. I would, if you send, you know, my address comes across the crawler on the bottom of the screen. If you send me a request, I will send you the pamphlet, the reprint, for free. And I promise I will get rid of your email. I won't let anybody else have it, so nobody's going to know that you're getting it other than me, because I have to have an address to send it to. But I would be happy to, because if you're a parent, you need to know what's happening with Common Core. It is terrible. It is more than terrible. It's horrific. What the potential is and what's already happening with the Common Core dumbing down of our children. Now, the Common Core advocates will tell you that this is wonderful. This is a new and improved federal way, a new government way. And let's face it, when we turn things over to the government, how could it go wrong? This is the latest thing, you know, that No Child Left Behind was a real beaut. Now we have Common Core that even makes No Child Left Behind look intellectually stimulating. Common Core, a scheme to rewrite education. Now this reprint that I will send you is from the New American Magazine. And I would be happy to send it to you. It gives you a very in-depth look at what the Common Core thing is all about. Right now there are 4 states that have said we don't want it. There are a number of states that are looking at and saying, what the heck did we get ourselves into, that want out of it. Unfortunately, our state is one of those that has initiated or instituted the so-called Common Core structure, and apparently they love it locally here. Not you parents, but the school district, I guess they bought into it. The potential here is dangerous. It's frightening and it's dangerous. Now, why do I tell you about Common Core? Because we're actually going to get off on another subject. Well, one of the reasons is that Common Core ties in with Planned Parenthood in an abstract way. And Planned Parenthood, boy, those people are real beauts. And as you already know, they get millions upon millions of our tax dollars, yours and mine, to, among other things, kill babies. And there's no other way to put it. I can't put it delicately. Their major industry is aborting babies. And that's the nice way of saying they kill babies. They kill them in the womb. They have no compunction about killing them outside of the womb. They will tell you that they only counsel families, because after all they are, you know, Planned Parenthood. But the plan most of the time seems to be how to kill a baby and how to do it without having any feelings of remorse. Unfortunately for many, many people who have the abortions, many women, there is a great deal of remorse and guilt and pain, and it doesn't go away. And they need somebody they can talk to. and the Planned Parenthood people are not the ones. But I digress. They get millions of dollars to kill babies. One of the things that Planned Parenthood does that you have to know, and it comes in concert with Common Core, because Common Core has a number of things that they recommend or accede to. There are a number of ways you could put it. Delicately, we can say that they suggested or whatever. My wife came across this book recently, and she ordered a copy of it because we had to see. Now, she had seen it. She had already pulled it up on the internet, and she looked at it, and she showed me a couple of the drawings and all of their cartoons or caricaturizations, however you want to put it, throughout this book that are intentionally intended to pick the interest of your child, to speak to them in a language that pre-adolescents and adolescents respond to. And it's deliberate. It's very deliberate, and it's another way of taking your. You know, I've told you so many times. They're after your children. They need your children. They want your children. And we're going to talk about they in a couple minutes. But in this case, we'll talk about the Planned Parenthood people, the Common Core people. One of the books that Planned Parenthood suggests that Common Core or you or other schools have available is this, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it degenerate. This is a book titled Changing Bodies, Growing Up, Sex and Sexual Health. Now, we're not talking about sex education. We're not talking about what they used to talk about when I was a kid, health education that had very minimal reference to sex. It was very peripheral, oblique, very just kind of left out there. Because, you know, I come from a time, and many of you probably do, when we really believed it was up to the parents to teach us those things. Not anymore. Your government wants to do it for you, and there are so many organizations that are willing to help you, and it's all about your children. Well, this book is talking about sexualizing your child, and this book is intended for children. Let's see if I've got that little flyer here. Well, I'll just read this is from a blog that by a fellow named, it's the Matt Walsh blog, and you can go to it, mattwalshblog.com, and then he has a number of subtitles and things you can look into. This one, the book, It's Perfectly Normal, is recommended by Planned Parenthood and by Common Core for sexual education for children age 10 and up. Now remember, those of you who have 10-year-old or 11-year-olds or 12-year-olds, think of what their little minds actually are. They're very, very malleable. They're very, they're very, they're just soaking stuff in. They're very open to suggestion, and this is part of the whole thing. To view the American Life League's video, which shows the debauchery of Planned Parenthood's quest to create sex-addicted children, go to YouTube on your computer and type in, and I hope you're writing this down, type in Hooking Kids on Sex 2. Hooking Kids on Sex 2. Don't allow your children to see this video. You need to see it, Mom and Dad, so you can see what Common Core and Planned Parenthood have in store for your children. All right, now this is from the Matt Walsh blog. I'm going to quote him. The mattwalshblog.com. This is what happens when perverts write elementary school textbooks, comment page 3. And then it goes on, February 21st, 2014. Neighbors, friends, fellow citizens, listen to my plea. We must find some common ground. We must be a country again, a people, a culture. Our civilization is doomed if we cannot search through the fog and the confusion and find in that mist some semblance of a thread to bind us all. We are supposedly a union, are we not? So let me make the first attempt. Let me prove that unity is possible by pointing to just a few topics upon which all decent, civilized, rational people can agree. 1, here we go. Bacon is delicious. Bacon is a cultural phenomenon. Despite our differences, we all love bacon. It really seems like everyone is on the same page here, except for the vegetarians, but they aren't Americans, technically. Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for that one. 2, remember, I'm quoting somebody else. And the author, what is it? We do not necessarily commend or not, well, you know what I mean, the disclaimer. Number 2, The Princess Bride is a fantastic film. Everyone loves that movie, right? It's charming, whimsical, and hilarious. Number 3, it's nice to have money. We would all prefer to have money, right? I mean, given the choice between having no money, some money, or a lot of money, we'd all definitely choose to have either some or a lot, wouldn't we? See, we can agree on some things. We are unified. Oh, and here's one more, number 4. Public schools shouldn't teach 4th graders how to masturbate. Clearly, no sane adult could possibly react with anything other than horror if they found out that the government schools were taking time out of the academic day to encourage 9 and 10-year-olds to masturbate, right? Right? Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Victoria Jackson has the story about a textbook on the approved reading list. Well, that's you'd have to go to the blog to see about the Victoria Jackson. Now, and this book has been around since the 90s. This is nothing new. It was new to me, but it's nothing new. And you need to know about it because it can and maybe is already part of Planned Parenthood and Common Core, the dumbing down of the children of our age who are going to be dumbed down academically but built up sexually. And we're not talking about health, we're talking about sexualization. Now, changing bodies growing up, sex and sexual health, it's perfectly normal. This is the front of this. And it says on the back, when young people have questions about sex, real answers can be hard to find. Providing accurate, unbiased answers to nearly every conceivable question, from contraception and puberty to birth control and AIDS, It's Perfectly Normal offers young people the real information they need now more than ever to make responsible decisions and to stay healthy. Now, what do they have here? Well, you're going to have to go online, and I suggest you buy this book. Try and get it on the secondary market so you don't pay the authors. They shouldn't make any profit on your dismay. This thing sells for, can you believe it, $11 in the United States, $15 if you're Canadian, for ages 10 and up. Now, I did this, honestly, I did this quite accidentally. I don't know if the page just broke here or not. I was going to show you some of the headings of some of the things that your children are going to be subjected to under Common Core teaching as helped along by Planned Parenthood. And this one happens, I just turned to it. Well, here's number 4, I guess chapter 4, number 4, Making Love, Sexual Intercourse. And then they have some pictures, some of them a little more explicit than you might want your 10-year-old to have. When I was a boy, and in fact when I was, a 10, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, they don't have these around anymore, but there were these little cartoon things. They were like 1 cell panel wide, and you could flip through them, and they were quote-unquote dirty books. And they went around, and boys would snicker at them, and we didn't know what the heck we were looking at, but we knew they were dirty books, and you'd pass them on furtively to somebody else. And, you know, but we weren't being given, we knew that there was something wrong here. We knew that it wasn't something we should be, we were doing it furtively to look at these pictures and titillate our little tiny brains, but our school teachers weren't the ones that were teaching us about the things that were in those comic strips. And if our parents had found out about them, they would teach us in a number of ways. The Board of Education to the seat of the problem, whatever it was. But it was never the job of the schools, and certainly not the government, to sexualize our children. Now, as I said, I just put my finger in here to see part 1, what is sex? And then they go through girl or boy, female or male. You get to part 4, straight and gay, heterosexuality and homosexuality. What does your 10-year-old need to know this for? Why does the school need to teach your children about this? Why does the school need to talk to your children about anything about sexualization? And then they get in further into it. Let's see, taking care of your body. And they have all kinds of, here's a naked boy in the shower. He's showering. Here's a naked girl. And they're very explicit. I mean, there's no question in your mind that these are boys and girls, and these are all caricatures. These are drawings. Then they get into talking about the relationships and a kind of sharing, cuddling, kissing, touching, and sexual intercourse. Is that something you want the schools teaching your children? Is that any of their business? Now, I'm not talking about when they get into college or even maybe in the later years of high school. There may be a place for some of this under health education, biology, whatever, but not the explicit do's and don'ts. They go into everything in here, including They've got a picture of a little boy trying to figure out how to put a condom on, and they teach him how to do it. Anyway, I highly recommend you, mom, dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, it doesn't matter. You need to know what this Common Core scheme to debauch our children is all about. And it goes beyond just dumbing them down arithmetically, philosophically, however you want to do it. It goes to also sexualizing your children. And that's nobody's business but yours and your child. Wouldn't you agree? So, Common Core, and I urge you, when you see the crawler, please don't be afraid to send me a request. Now, I'm not going to send you this book. I can't afford to do that. I'm going to suggest you look it up on the internet, and it's called It's Perfectly Normal, Changing Bodies Growing Up, Sex and Sexual Health. You really need to know what they're going to be teaching your kids in school. And Common Core is the driving force behind that, and your federal tax dollars are the driving force behind that. All right, let's get to some of the current stuff in the newspaper. As I've said before, if I were suggesting something for you to read, the last thing I would suggest would be the Idaho State Journal. However, pardon me, if you don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal so you can get some real news or some other news source, then you have to have something, and the Idaho State Journal is the local newspaper. I subscribe to it because I have to have a way to alert you. Many of you who watch this program I know don't subscribe to that newspaper, and so it's a way for me to be informed enough to alert you as to what's happening. What has been happening for the last year, it seems like forever, a year and a half, 2 years, all about LGBTQ, usually just LGBT. They don't always put Q on the end. And Q can, depends on who's talking about it. Q can stand for queer or questioning, depends on who's writing. So LGBT. Now remember, I've told you about this every week. I'm going to continue to tell you about this because we have the elections coming up May 20th, and Proposition 1 is going to be on the ballot. And Proposition 1 has to do with the so-called non-discrimination ordinance. But before we get to that, let me just read this to you once again and remind you, this is a quote. The greatest single victory of the gay movement over the past decade has been to shift the debate from behavior to identity, thus forcing opponents into a position where they can be seen as attacking the civil rights of homosexual citizens. And this is from this book, The Homosexualization of America, by homosexual activist Dennis Altman. Now, I have suggested to you last week, I will suggest again, here again, this is a book that you should have so you better understand what's happening and why it's happening and what you may or may not want to do about it. This book is called The Homosexualization of America by Dennis Altman, a homosexual activist. And he's quite clear on how we've got to the numbers, where the position where we are today. Who would have thought 20, 30, 40 years ago that today we would have to defend ourselves against things like the so-called non-discrimination ordinance, or against the groups like All Under One Roof and other activist groups who are actively supportive of LGBT, or to put it another way, homosexual activities. Who would ever have thought that we would have to be protecting our families, protecting our free speech rights, protecting our property rights by even talking about this? When I first came to this community, I had no idea there was a homosexual community here. I knew it was in Los Angeles. That's where I lived. I knew it was West Los Angeles, San Francisco. These are places that are better known for having large homosexual communities. I never gave it a thought when I came here because it was not on my radar. It wasn't on my agenda. I didn't care. And I think I'm like most of you to whom I'm speaking, unless somebody puts it on our face, we don't care about what you're doing, what your sexual agenda is. It's no more our business than it is what you and with the homosexuals as to my family situation. But a couple of years ago, the local activists who have been very, very vocal, very in our face as a community, so to speak, they decided to make this an issue. There was no need for it. Now they will tell you otherwise, but I tell you, there was no need for it. We've never yet seen any evidence, certainly here on a local level, and I'll just keep most of this to the Pocatello level, a small city of 50,000 plus with a neighboring city of about 10,000. We don't have a huge homosexual or LGBT community here. But you wouldn't know that but by reading the Idaho State Journal every day. Well, and that's a slight but not too inaccurate generalization. There is something in the newspaper about LGBTQ this, letters to the editor, local events, and I'm going to tell you about one in a couple minutes because they won't leave it alone, so I can't leave it alone. We have to talk about this. I will be glad after May so we can talk about something else, and I'm sure you will be happy also. But for those of you who are interested in what might be happening in the schools, might be happening with your children's social life, what may be happening just in general here in our community, you need to be informed. An ill-informed community is a victim, just waiting to happen. So I would suggest that you buy this book, get it on the secondary market. As I said, I think my wife got this for a penny, and then you pay for postage and handling, and that's how whoever ships these makes their money. The Homosexualization of America. This tells you in detail what the LGBT people are all about, what they intend for the nation, for our community, for the world. And I know that sounds, like, well, that sounds like Hitler talking about world conquest. Well, this is about for the whole world, but we'll keep it pretty much locally because that's where we're having to deal with it. So there's that. Now, if you haven't already done so, I would also suggest, and I'll tell you why in a moment, you'll understand it better. This is another book that you need to get, and here again, buy it on the secondary market. Don't pay up front for it. You can get these used, some of them, like this one, somebody had highlighted things and underlined things, but it wasn't so bad that I can't read it. And the same with this, After the Ball, How America Will Conquer Its Fear and Hatred of Gays in the 90s. So this is a little dated, and yet it's just as current as if it was written today. And this was by Marshall Kirk and Hunter Madsen. And here again, this is about the homosexual agenda. And make no mistake, folks, there is a homosexual agenda. We're going to talk about that in a moment also. Buy these books. Get them, as I said, get them on the secondary market. I don't think you're going to find them in the local library. You may, and if you can get them for free, go check it out and read it. You need to know what's happening because it isn't just about you. It's about your kids. I mean, that really is the bottom line, and it goes beyond that. All right, so let's move on. Now, there's a group that announced itself the other day. I'd never heard of this group before, and the reason being that it's pretty new. And it goes hand in glove with other groups like this All Under One Roof. Now, All Under One Roof portrays itself as being a gathering spot for children, young people, teenagers, college-age students, I guess, whatever it is. They portray themselves as a safe haven, if you will, for LGBTQ kids, someplace where they can go and they can be understood. People will talk to them in a language that they understand. Well, maybe that's it, and maybe there's more to it. Maybe it's a little more nefarious than that, because the people who are doing these things for your kids, they are either homosexual themselves, LGBT, or they are people who are advocates or supporters. So the kids are not going to get straight talk, pardon the expression, no pun intended. They're going to get information on how to be LGBTQ, how to be involved in that so-called community. Nobody's going to be trying to dissuade them from that lifestyle. Nobody's going to try to protect them from things that they maybe don't need to be involved with. No, this would, as it says right on the front of their internet page, All Under One Roof LGBT Advocates of Southeastern Idaho. What is an advocate? That's somebody who is for something, that are supporting it, pushing it forward, whatever. Now, contrary to what you may have been told about LGBT being victims, and that's why they supposedly needed the non-discrimination ordinance, it isn't really that up front. It's not really that clear. And if you go to their All Under One Roof page, they've got some nice sounding language, help us. They're trying to raise, I think it's $20,000, and they're going to have a fundraiser at the Bannock County Veterans Memorial Building. How that happened, why it had to be there, I don't know. There are some of us who are veterans that may be less than happy to know that the LGBT crowd are using the Veterans Memorial, a building that was dedicated to the service of military men and women, many of whom gave their lives as well as their blood, sweat, and tears to our country. Some of us may be offended to have the LGBT doing a fundraiser at the Memorial Building. That said, the leader of the American Legion sponsored them, and so they will have their meeting there as a fundraiser for their various LGBT activities. So let's fast forward to the latest thing that happened. There is now, well, I'll just read this right and make it easier for you to comprehend or to follow, because I do have a tendency to go off sometimes. In case you were unaware, there's a new well-financed group in town supporting LGBT. It's called Fair Pocatello. Recently, Channel 6 News highlighted this new group and their stated goal to ensure that LGBT community can persuade us to abandon our goal of passing Proposition 1 on the May 20th ballot. Proposition 1, as you may be aware, is the result of a petition that was circulated here in Pocatello to allow all Pocatelloans to vote on the so-called non-discrimination ordinance, the ordinance that grants special protection to those who self-identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, LGBT. The news article identified attorney Jim Ruchty as their lawyer, and it appears that Brenda Stanley is their organization's spokesperson. Mr. Ruchty is a former state legislator, a very powerful local attorney, and Ms. Stanley is a well-known public figure from her days as one of the news anchors on Channel 6. When she was on Channel 6, I believe she was known as Brenda Baumgarten. So, but I believe she's using Stanley. So just so you can, if you haven't heard that for a while, when you hear Baumgarten, perhaps the face will gel in your mind. I find it ironic that the so-called LGBT community find it necessary to not only form a group, actually a political action committee, a PAC, but to also hire a high-profile attorney and a well-known local TV personality to go after those who oppose the so-called non-discrimination ordinance. The proposition will appear on the ballot as the culmination of the efforts of my wife and I and several of our friends who felt that we have a constitutional right, even a duty, to oppose any law that appears to give special rights to some at the expense of everyone else, which is what the ordinance does. We, my wife and I and our friends, we have no PAC, no money. Indeed, we paid for the petitions and other materials out of our own pockets. We have no organization, no high-powered attorney, and no high-profile public figure to represent us. It seems like Fair Pocatello represents Goliath attacking, and we are David, standing for people of faith and their freedom to exercise their religious beliefs. Now, here's a statement that was given to News 6, as it's called, and it was published on their blog site. I guess that's the proper name for it. So this is the statement that was published on the blog. The referendum to overturn the non-discrimination ordinance has always been about protecting all Pocatello citizens from discriminatory oppressive law. Pocatello's so-called non-discrimination ordinance legalizes and promotes discrimination and bigotry against Pocatello citizens who just want to work hard, earn a decent living, and raise their families. Should your friends and neighbors in Pocatello be forced to choose between living free or making a living? Remember, this group is called Fair Pocatello. It is unfair. These laws are being used across America to force private citizens to participate and or facilitate same-sex weddings and or commitment ceremonies and celebrations in contradiction to their beliefs when an abundance of other businesses are readily available. It is unfair. Pocatello business owners who regularly service the LGBT community population without exception could face jail time and or fines for abiding by their convictions in limited situations in which their business overlaps into the marriage industry. And we're going to have an example of that in a minute. It is unfair that the privacy rights of our girls and women are put into jeopardy to be abused by criminals who will exploit the law. It is unfair that people of varying faith backgrounds are being targeted by extreme activists who are using these laws not to protect our LGBT community, but to legalize discrimination and bigotry against people of faith who disagree with their views. It is unrealistic to expect Pocatello will not have faith-based business owners like those of Elaine Photography in New Mexico, Sweet Cakes by Melissa in Oregon, and Arlene's Flowers in Washington State, and other artists, musicians, printers, counselors, etc., who will be targeted in the future. It is dishonest that the proponents of these laws don't readily admit it, that their intention is to not only overturn Idaho's marriage amendment, but to also enact state-level protections so that they may codify their view of morality and incorporate it into our public schools. Remember Common Core. The people who ultimately will be harmed directly or indirectly by this law will be our Pocatello friends, family, neighbors, and co-workers, you. These same people who hold traditional beliefs have no objections to providing jobs, housing, or services to those of the LGBT community, and they do not condone blatant discrimination, nor are they hateful and bigoted. Pocatello must repeal the ordinance to protect our community from the hatred, bigotry, and discrimination of the extremists who want to ridicule, stigmatize, and criminalize people of traditional beliefs. Join our efforts and vote yes on Proposition 1 and repeal the ordinance, number 2921, on May 20th. Now, Channel 6 did contact my wife. She chose not to appear on camera for many reasons, but they were kind enough. They said that she could make a 75-word or less statement. And so this is the statement that actually was read by Todd Blackington on Channel 6 News. The short version of what I've just read you. Pocatellans go to the polls on May 20 and speak for freedom of expression, property ownership, and family religious values. A yes vote on Proposition 1 says yes to fair business practices while saying no to bigotry and bullying. Join with us to repeal Ordinance 2921 and protect our community from the hatred, bigotry, and discrimination of extremists who ridicule, stigmatize, and criminalize people of traditional beliefs. Vote yes, Proposition 1, May 20th. And here again, Todd Blackington was kind enough to read that on his program on the news the night that aired. So now, here's the way it's going to appear on your ballot. And you need to understand this because it could be confusing if you didn't understand that yes, if you vote yes, it means to do away with this unnecessary, blatantly in-your-face ordinance. And if you vote no, that means you want to keep the ordinance in place to give this group, the LGBT people, special protections over and above what you and I and they already have, that already protect all of us. But they want laws that are special to them, that are over and above the laws that, and you know, in a republic, everybody's supposed to be equal under the law, but this non-discrimination ordinance makes some people more equal, kind of like George Orwell's Animal Farm or 1984, whichever one it was. All right, so here's a draft of Proposition 1, referendum on the ballot. And it states very simple, so you just remember, should the city repeal Ordinance 2921, which prohibits discrimination against a person in the areas of housing, employment, and public accommodation based upon that person's sexual orientation and gender identity expression? A yes vote would mean you want the city to repeal the ordinance. A no vote would mean you want the city to keep the ordinance in effect. So remember, now the LGBT people feel strongly enough about this that they've hired a high-powered attorney. Jim Ruckty is well known around here, very successful attorney, quite capable. And it makes one have to wonder, why does Fair Pocatello, as they call themselves, why do they feel it necessary to have an attorney? What is Jim Ruckty going to be doing? Is he going to be going after people that disagree with this ordinance? Is he going to be going after anybody that disagrees with the LGBT people? What purpose could they have of, we can understand a PAC has to raise money so that they can fight for whatever they believe in. Why would they need an attorney? Why do they need to have a very well-known local public figure, Brenda Stanley? Why do they need to have a public spokesperson? You know, I guess they're going to run ads and all that. Why do they need this? It makes one wonder where they're planning to go with this. Now, it's very interesting. Some of the people that are in the Fair Pocatello website, Bill Lynn, Bannock County Sheriff, retired. I don't know if that means he's the sheriff or if he was a deputy. Some people call anybody who was a deputy a sheriff also. I don't know if he was the sheriff. It was before my time. Lauren, well, see, I forget who was the sheriff before Lauren Nielsen, but anyway. there's Bill Lynn, former sheriff. Susan Matsura. Now, Susan Matsura has been very public. It's interesting that she has been able to use her position as a representative of the city to have a platform at your expense and my expense. Now, I don't think she's paid. I think she's strictly a volunteer, but I don't believe that she should be allowed to be an advocate for the LGBT thing using the city's title that she has on the, I forget the committee she's on. It skips my mind, but she has an LGBT son, and so she's very well known here. Abby Jensen, and Abby Jensen says, I was born and raised in Pocatello, but moved away right after high school. I've returned to Idaho many times since then. I don't know who this Abby Jensen person is, but I've avoided Pocatello because I fear how I will be treated because I am a trans woman. I honestly don't know what a trans woman is. Is that a male becoming a woman, or is that a female becoming a man? I don't know what a trans woman is, other than something is in flux here, I guess. So I don't know if this woman has had surgery, or this person has had surgery. I did see a photograph, and the person has long gray hair, glasses, and appears to be a female, or a woman, however you want to put it. So I don't know if this is a man. I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to return someday knowing that the law protects me, and even more importantly, that the people of Pocatello value fairness and equality. Now, I'm not really sure what that statement's supposed to mean. We already have a transgender teacher that's teaching as a substitute teacher in school here. I told you about the confusion that raised with at least one child, because this person came as a male one day and then as a female the next day, and the 8-year-old kids really didn't get it, and they were pretty confused. And then their moms and dads had to try to explain what that meant. How do you explain that to an 8-year-old? And then Chris Cole. Now, this was an interesting one to me because I had Chris Cole in my home. I had no idea what his sexual orientation is. I didn't care. It wasn't important. He was in my home interviewing me for Channel 8 News, and I rarely watch the local news. It's hardly worth watching. So I don't know if he's still a reporter for Channel 8 News or not. But it wasn't until after the interview that it was amicable. He was very professional, very, no smiles or anything, just taking his notes, taking his film. And then he had about a minute and a half, 2 minutes later that he aired this. And this has been months ago this happened. Chris Cole, and as I said, a very public figure. And until he decided to make it public, I had no idea of his sexual orientation, nor did I care. He says, I support the non-discrimination ordinance because it's nobody's business who I love off the clock. And Chris, you're right. I couldn't care less. I don't know who, and I saw the picture of, I guess it's his significant other. I don't know this guy. As a TV journalist, it's not right that I should be afraid to be in public with my partner, and it's not right that I should be afraid I will get fired if anyone finds out who I spend my time with after work. Why should my quality of work be determined by who I choose to share my life with? Well, again, until he made it public, I certainly didn't know. Did you? No? And you may not have known until this moment. But he has his own Facebook page, and he's very out, well, as he is here. I got valuable insight as a member of the media reporting on the ordinance hearings. I learned there are far too many people in this city afraid every day for something others should have no say about. And here again, afraid of what? I'm often afraid to speak out on this issue. Well, that's a little late, that horse left the barn there, Chris. I'm afraid viewers will harass me, or worse, or submit their opinions of me to our station, but I am most afraid others will not see that it gets better. There's a great support system in Pocatello. He's kind of contradicting himself. If one person sees me making a difference, even while I'm being endangered in a high-profile position, it's worth it. What a bunch of hooey. But that's all part and parcel of it. All right, now, here we go. March 18th, and that's just yesterday. Letter to the editor under the Your Letter section. This is Under One Roof. Excuse me just a minute, it's a little dry in here. Suppose you're a lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender LGBT teenager. You're scared, lonely, and confused. You've been bullied by your friends. Your family may not want to deal with you. Where do you turn for friendship, help, and advice? You might turn to All Under One Roof, located in the back of Main Street Coffee at 234 North Main in Old Town Pocatello. All Under One Roof was founded by Tom Nestor, Now, here again, I didn't know Tom Nestor was homosexual. I didn't even know who he was. I know now because he and his friends have made it very clear to me on the internet. But Tom Nestor and Kevin Lish, and I understand that they're a couple, All Under One Roof was founded by Tom Nestor and Kevin Lish as a service to the LGBT youth of Pocatello. It's a combination clubhouse, counseling and testing center, and lending library. It has a board of directors that includes gay and straight people who have first-hand knowledge and experience with LGBT issues and know how to deal with them. Its resources include professional counselors, a physician, 8 to 12 pro bono volunteers, and a library of books on LGBT issues and bullying. And I would be quite surprised if they don't have in their library. It's perfectly normal. The center's physician will provide HIV testing for anyone, gay or straight, at any time, and with the testing comes mandatory counseling from a certified STD counselor, sexually transmitted disorder or disease. All Under One Roof is currently open for 2 hours and 30 minutes on Tuesdays after school. LGBT youth can drop in and be themselves. Hours will expand as necessary and with more volunteers. Donations are also needed and can be made. All Under One Roof has been active in giving to the community during its short life. A drive raised 400 teddy bears for disadvantaged children in a CASA and Family Services Alliance program. And Family Services, well, there seems to be some nexus, let's just say. And a Christmas holidays fundraiser raised $2,100 for Pocatello's Idaho Food Bank, which amounted to 6,300 meals for the disadvantaged. Next, for AUOR is a fundraiser, All Under One Roof, is a fundraiser for food for the animal shelter. Hopefully this information will show what LGBT people have been saying all along, that there is no gay agenda. All gays want is equality and the freedom to live their own lives as best they can. And this is by Glenn Alford, who is a frequent contributor on homosexual or LGBT issues to the paper. Well, Glenn, let me correct you on at least one thing. There very definitely is an agenda. And that's what I've been telling you folks at home. You can learn about the agenda. You can read this book, The Homosexualization of America. You can read this book, After the Ball, How America Will Conquer Its Fear of and Hatred of Gays in the 90s. Or, but wait, there is more. The Overhauling of Straight America by Marshall Kirk and Erastus Pill. This gives you explicitly the agenda, and it is very definitely an agenda on how LGBT are going to make you, kind of like Colonel Klink, they will make you like it, you will be happy. The Overhauling of Straight America. This is the game plan. Well, one of many. There is another. This is Unmasking the Gay Agenda by J. Matt Barber. J. Matt Barber tells you how it's going to start, how it's going to be in the government, in the schools, even in the churches, and how they are going to counter anything that people have to say that, to protect their families. This is, and it says right on here, Unmasking the Gay Agenda. Then there is this very interesting piece, the 1972 Gay Rights Platform. 1972, that's been a few years ago. In February 1972, the National Coalition of Gay Organizations met at the Armitage Avenue United Methodist Church in Chicago. An invitation had been sent out to 495 homosexual organizations across the United States to come and prepare a gay stance for the 1972 elections. And then it goes on and tells you how they are going to make you like it, how you're going to learn to live with it. Like the how I got to like the atom bomb and learn to live with it, the old Peter Sellers movie. And then there's another one, and this is an offshoot of the agenda. This came out of the Northern Colorado Gazette in 2011. Pedophiles want same rights as homosexuals. Is there a difference between? Well, yeah, there are, because pedophiles can be quote unquote straight or otherwise. So, Glenn Alford, I hate to burst your bubble, my friend, but there is an agenda, and I suspect that you're well aware that there is an agenda. All Under One Roof is part of the agenda. Common Core has become part of the agenda. the Planned Parenthood is part and parcel with the agenda. All right. Well, I've been keeping a film here for some time. It's about 9 minutes long. You know, is that 7 minutes on that film? We have, okay, 7 minutes. We have just enough time to run this. Now remember, if you are straight or if you have any religious convictions about serving gays, you are some kind of a bigoted, racist, or not homophobe, whatever it is. And here's proof positive. Let's show that.
This is my treasure. I have one for Brenton and New Haven, Missouri, and Edison, Pennsylvania, Birmingham, Alabama. This one is from Sri Lanka, India, and it was a minister who was on a train who met an American who had an article about Arlene's flowers. He calls every week and just says, "How are you doing, sister?" And then I got the Bible from a church in Yakima that came down, and they came to the shop and just said they were behind us and that they were thinking of us, and very, very special. You just want to do something out of the ordinary, something that tickles somebody's fancy or makes them smile or whatever. Just get these ideas in your head, and you really can't describe them. You know, I don't have a theory about it or anything. I just do it. Well, I think most artistic people, you know, especially painters, I think, they put their heart into their arrangements. It's part of them. It's part of who they are. And I think that's the same thing with a florist. The joy of being here so long is to get to know people personally. I don't consider the people that walk in the door customers. They're just people that want something to please somebody else, and that's my job.
She's the most kind, gentlest soul you'll ever meet. If you go into her shop, you're going to get a hug. And so she's very warm. And she had established a really warm relationship with Rob Ingersoll, who had been in 9 years and would come in and spend a good amount of money throughout the year. And they had gotten to know each other pretty well.
He has a very creative mind, and so we just sort of hit it off.
At one point, he decided to get married a few months after same-sex marriage became legal in Washington State. And he, of course, wanted her to do it.
There was a real struggle to decide what to do with that. My husband and I talked it over, and, you know, as much as I love Rob, I just couldn't be a part of that. If I did Rob's wedding, it would be from my heart, because I think he's a really special person, and I would want to make it really special for him. So it wasn't something that I flippantly said, "Oh, I'm not going to do Rob's wedding because he's gay." When I talked to Rob, I did not think this would be a major issue. I was very surprised at that.
The Attorney General's action in this case is unprecedented in Washington State. We have never had an Attorney General take the position that this Attorney General is taking. Now the ACLU's piled on, and the same-sex couple have sued her as well. And interestingly, they have sued her in her personal capacity as well as her business. So she is at great risk. As a result of serving someone lovingly and admittedly in a kind way for 9 years, and because you won't do one same-sex wedding, you're going to lose your house or your business. And she's been working in this business for 40 years. I've read a lot of hate mail over the years, but what I've read in this case just is stunning. It makes you sick to your stomach when just volumes after volumes, thousands of pages.
People are filled with hate and refuse to even listen to what the real story is, and how angry and frustrated, and it's just so sad.
This is about marriage. It's not about bigotry. She knew of their relationship. She provided flowers that they sent to each other. But when it came to marriage, that was the line. Because as she'll tell you, marriage represents the relationship of Christ and his church. It's a sacred covenant.
Marriage is a sacred, very sacred thing. You want flowers for your anniversary, your birthday, or whatever, that's fine. But I just cannot do a same-sex marriage.
So this case in particular is coercing someone to engage in expression, and that's against America's tradition, and it's unconstitutional. It's also unnecessary. There are lots of florists. If you look in the Tri-Cities area, there's like 3 pages in the yellow pages of florists that could have served this couple. They've even admitted that after they received enough offers for free wedding arrangements to do 20 different weddings. But yet, what's being set up here is that's not good enough. It's not good enough that there are other florists. We have to coerce everyone to do what we want them to do, even if it violates religious convictions.
I have to have faith that he's going to protect me and give me the courage and the knowledge and the wisdom to stand firm on this. But it's also helped me understand what obedience is and what I'm going to cry and what following Christ is. You know, you can't sit on the fence, like he says. You can't be lukewarm. And that's what I was. I was lukewarm. Darnell, God bless you, sister. We are all praying for you. Stand with you 100%, Pastor Tony. God will hold your hand no matter what. God bless Opal. I will certainly continue to pray for you and thank you for your commitment. Lord bless Dan Greer. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. God bless you, Cheryl Sampson. Rest in Jesus, you're a daughter of the King. That one got me. May God's strength be with you, praying for you, Dave and family. Hope all goes well. Just remember God loves you. Charity Castro.
So who really needs protection here? The LGBT or you and me? God bless you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you'll give some thought to what we've been going over. We're going to be going over this for a while. The action against the rest of us isn't going to stop. They feel strongly enough about it that they've hired an attorney, they have a spokesperson, they have a PAC, they meaning the LGBT community. They're not going to give any rest to anybody until they get their own way. And their own way, they don't care if it violates our God-given rights, or, as I might point out to you, our constitutional rights. So anyway, God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Join us again next week at the same time. Good night.